All right, so we're back and we have Chetwayo aboard with us here for the next 10 minutes. So 15 minutes away from the hour of 8 o'clock. Seth, good morning to you, man. What's up?
Good morning.
Good to see you again. What are we talking about this morning?
So I was looking into the topic because I've had many clients come to me, and when we discussing nutritional therapy, going through their consultation, re-educating them, they would have some questions because they would want to, find out with regards to stuff that might be biblically related.
Right.
A lot of people have their beliefs with regards to stuff with nutrition and health. And that's what I want to make the topic, right? The use of biblical terminologies and stuff with regards to marketing and pushing products. And the reason for that is because when people use biblical topics, themes, or quotes, it disarms people's skepticism. Because, it's biblical, so therefore people would follow it without questioning it, because, a lot of people are told or grew up knowing or being taught, you don't question God. So by using biblical principles in marketing, people apply that same kind of mentality towards products and they don't question it, right? Now, of course, I must state I am not attacking the Bible or anything like that. I'm just showing people to help people understand certain principles with regards to marketing and using biblical wording and phrasing and stuff in it.
What are some of the phrases that we use?
Well, I'll comment to that just now.
All right. I'm very interested to find that out.
We have, it have a a best-selling book. You are pretty sure you know about this book because this book has been around since it was published in 1939. My grandmother had a copy of this book, that book called Back to Eden. Sure you're familiar with it. You would have heard about that book. It pushes biology and all these stuff like that. Though it is a book that have been heavily criticized by the scientific community, and rightly so. But many people may not know this, but I have a history or background of being a preacher. I went to Trinidad School of Preaching and Teaching. So I studied, I studied the Bible, I studied Introduction to Koine Greek. I had my Greek and Hebrew dictionaries. I had over 1,000 books. As people might assume, I read a lot, right? Okay. So I'm somebody that research a lot. So when I see certain things, so this book that was written by, what's the guy name? Is Jethro Klaus, or Jethro Klaus, back in 1939. Back to Eden, because it sounds good. You're going back to Eden for remedies and healing and so forth. But from a biblical standpoint, people that read the scriptures would see that after the fall of man, Adam and Eve in the garden, when they committed their sin, they were placed out of the garden, and the cherubim and the flaming sword was placed. So mankind never had access to the garden again, right? Adam and Eve were the only two individuals that had access to the garden, and they lost that access.
Right.
So to say back to Eden, referring back to what was in the garden, there is no one in existence that knows what was in the garden.
That's true, eh?
Right?
That's true.
No one in existence.
We can only even with the tree, right? Most people associate the forbidden fruit as an apple.
As an apple,
right? But that and all is
that was never stated.
It was never stated. It was an apple,
right?
And some people say the forbidden fruit is more. Some people
think it's
analyzed it.
Think it's figurative.
Of more of a part of the female anatomy.
Right.
So people, right.
Yeah,
and that was the forbidden fruit.
Right.
So people have different interpretations of what it is. And that's the thing with the Bible. It's a book that is open to many interpretations.
And many aspects of it have symbolisms and stuff, right? But they use the fact that, a lot of people don't really read per se, Right? Now, I read the Bible cover to cover, just to mention that I read it cover to cover,
Right.
From Genesis to Revelations, and like I said, I studied the books, right? And I read that before I even got into church, because I'm the type of person, I told myself, I don't want anybody to fool me, right? So I want to read things cover to cover so I would know what is in it, and not just blindly accept quotes that people might be making. So when people use these terminologies and stuff, biblical terminologies, in marketing, that to me is a red flag. So my antennas go up one time. For other people, they would just accept it. Oh, it's biblical. For example, I'll show you familiar this one now. Ezekiel bread.
Yes.
Right? Ezekiel bread.
Ezekiel bread, I've heard of that, yeah.
Now, if you read the book of Ezekiel, Ezekiel chapter 4, from verse 9 to 15, that is what talks about with the bread, right? But you read Ezekiel chapter 4, that is actually dealing with judgment, with the nation being under siege, right? It was prophetic language. It was a prophetic demonstration that God told Ezekiel to demonstrate in front of the people, where he had to eat a particular way for 390 days, right? Due to the transgression of the nation, because God was sending a warning to the people that this is what is going to happen to you.
Right.
So the bread that he was eating, that consisted of wheat, barley, millet, spelt, and some other grains, he had to cook that in full display of the population. But people talking about this bread wasn't supposed to be something to nourish him. It was supposed to be survival or ration food, to show starvation, to show hardship. And here's a key thing that they leave out. He was instructed to cook that bread publicly in front of in front of people, in front of the nation, over human feces.
Okay.
Right? And then he protested. He said, God, I never ate anything so defiled. So then tell him, what? Okay, cook it over cow dung. So he had to cook that bread over cow dung. This bread was never meant to nourish. It was meant to malnourish, to emaciate, in order to bring across a strong message to the people. Due to your transgressions, this is what is going to become of you. But how much people going and read the text to see where they get this thing from? So now we have this bread here now selling, and people buying it thinking it is going to improve health. You look at the ingredients of that. Remember I mentioned over the past couple of weeks there's something called bioavailability. The stuff used in that to make that bread, the nutrients in it are unbioavailable, right? They're not bioavailable. Right? It's very difficult for the human body to extract nutrients from the sources used to make that bread. And that was done for a reason. Not to improve Ezekiel's health, but to show suffering, let the people know this is what would happen to you when you transgress.
Right.
There are other passages. For example, the most famous one. Because when you talk about things with regards to health, and in my case, when I show the dangers of consuming plant-based stuff and showing things like toxins that are in plants and so forth that a lot of people are unaware of, they would quote, but the Bible says the herbs are for the healing of the nation. Which part? Right? So then I realized, they're drawing reference to Revelation 22:2, which talk about the tree of life that is in the river of life, and the tree of life. But it's like, but Revelation is in prophetic language. It's in symbols and signs and apocalyptic language, right? Because if you read the fruit, the tree in the midst of the river of the tree of life, it bears fruit every month, but it bears 12 different types of fruit.
You Are Not Sick, You Are Malnourished is the top-selling consignment book at RIK bookstores nationwide every month so far this year. Get your copy locally at RIK bookstores across Trinidad, Nelson's Bookstore in Tobago, internationally on Amazon for paperback, and on Gumroad for the digital copy.
Okay.
So you know it's figurative. There is no tree in existence that bears 12
different types of fruit. No.
Right? And instead, the leaf of the tree is for the healing of the nation. Not herbs are for the healing of the nation.
Okay.
Right? The leaf of the tree of the fruit of the tree of life, right? So when people take things out of context, it can be misused and pushed in a marketing manner that it disarms people's skepticism. Oh, it's in the Bible, so therefore It has to be correct.
Okay.
And that is not true. So I've always told people, when it comes to health and nutrition, knowledge is important. Knowledge is important. But to attain knowledge, reading is required.
Right.
Reading is of extreme importance as well. A lot of knowledge is in writing.
Right.
Yesterday we have technology that you have videos and stuff like that, but you still have a lot of knowledge that is actually in written form. Right? Back in my preaching days, I had a preacher from the US who has given us a story, true story, where they were giving away ticket to the Super Bowl, I think it was. Right? So they had a meeting with the members and they tell them to hide a ticket somewhere in the church. Right? And whoever find it, they get the ticket free, they could go to the Super Bowl. Right? People turned the whole church upside down, they're looking for it. Nobody found it. You know where it was?
Where it was?
The table where they're having the meeting, they had a Bible right there on the first page. Right? And the evangelist said he knew nobody was going to find it because people don't like to read, so they would have never opened the book.
Well, let's say if you they say if you want to hide something, put it in a book, eh? And then now we live in the digital age, where it is even more difficult to get persons to read a book, as opposed to, going online. And I prefer a book, honestly. I prefer sitting down and reading a book, but I come from a different era. Right. The era before us, they had no choice but to read.
Correct.
Because they would have had less distractions.
But here's the
right?
thing.
But as more distractions are created with technology,
even with
people move away from the
technology,
books.
you could read online and stuff like that. You know that only around that about 25% of the population don't read or refuses to read. Not that they can't read, right? 15 to 25% just chooses not to read.
Yeah.
Right? And to me, that is restricting you. So which means that 15 to 25% is actually open to manipulation, because then they would trust things that they might see on video. Now,
right.
Trinidad statistics now, the adult statistics, 25% of our population cannot read, right?
Okay, all right.
And that's also an issue.
Yeah, that's a serious statistic here.
Exactly, which means that 25% have themselves open to manipulation. Right.
Yeah, because but you see it every day. People will formulate an opinion based on reading a headline.
Yeah.
And then when you read the actual story, you realize, well, wait now, but the headline and the story don't match. But they would have formulated an opinion based on just the headline. They don't go into the story and read the story. And the longer the story,
oh gosh,
the more difficult it becomes to get them to read it. The shorter the story, even with content, video content, everything, the shorter the content, the more widely viewed it is. When you go into the analytics of social media platforms, and you check and you see, okay, you might see a video with 100,000 views. But when you go into the analytics and you check to see how much of the video
was viewed, it's like 3 seconds, yeah.
It's like 3 to 5 seconds, sometimes 10 seconds. So in a maybe 2 to 3 minute video, the vast majority of those views was like 5 seconds long.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not that you get 100,000 people didn't watch your video, They click on it.
That's why the most famous people are entertainers and not so much information givers, not educators. Right? Because people prefer to be entertained than educated. And that's a huge problem, huge problem, because it's the lack of knowledge that causes so much manipulation. We have been doing stuff in society here, nutritionally, health-wise, right? But nothing is getting better. Right? Things continue to get worse. All diseases are on the increase, right? All diseases going up. Our second largest expense as a nation in our budget is our health care. Right? That alone shows that we are not in a good space. We are not in a good situation. And that's because people refusing to educate themselves. I didn't write my book for guests, right? I didn't write my book because I just wanted to write a book. I write my book to inform and educate, because when you have more knowledge, you are less likely to be manipulated.
Right.
Right? Once there's a knowledge gap, manipulation fits in. Now, the other thing with knowledge, because even in the Bible, the book of Ecclesiastes would have stated that wisdom comes with sorrow, right? And knowledge brings much grief, right? So as you increase it in knowledge, you also increase it in grief. And why is that? The reason is the more knowledge you have is the better able you are to see how much people are being manipulated. Right? And that is not an easy thing to watch, you know. Let's take, for instance, in my case, I know why everybody is sick. I know how to reverse almost everything. Right? But you can't force people into that.
Right.
You have to allow people to make their decisions. I try my best to educate people so they could have more information so that they could make their decisions.
Right.
Many people usually would choose, nah, I ain't going to go around this person's labor route too hard, right? Some people might find it a little too hard to change your diet at a couple of things that I actually like or whatever. Let me try other things. And I've seen people try other things and try other things and keep trying other things and then have to come all the way right back to me. But sometimes when they come back to me, too late.
Right.
The time when they were trying other stuff, they made their situation worse. And by the time they come back here now to me, the damage that have accumulated had reached an extent that I can't even help them anymore. Right? So I've seen people die due to that because they waited too long. They had an opportunity, but then they were looking for another means. The reality is, nutritional therapy is actually the only true way to heal the body. You know why the body heals itself. There's no product that could actually heal you. Products could help suppress symptoms, which can give the illusion of healing, but it's not actual healing, it's symptom suppression. So you might feel good. And people need to understand, not because you are feeling good means that you are actually good. Right? We learn our word during COVID, the nation. What do you call it?
Asymptomatic?
Not asymptomatic. Happy hypoxia.
Oh,
right?
happy hypoxia.
Right?
Asymptomatic. Comorbidities.
You know that a few words, right?
A few words, a few terminologies came out there.
So it was because somebody was singing very good and happy and energetic over the phone, but the oxygen levels was dropping low to the point where it could affect the brain to an extent that you feel good. And then, boom, death came right after. Right? So you could feel good and not be good, and not because you are feeling good actually means you are good. So a lot of people would say, well, look, I just drink, and I just do this and that, and I just eat this and that, and I good. Right. But then when the decline happens, it happens rapid and fast. Right? And it's a sudden decline.
Well, we got to wrap things up here because we're out of time. But you can contact Seth on the following numbers if you want to get further information. It's very simple. All you got to do, you give him a call on 279-3935. That is 279-3935. Or you could WhatsApp him on 761-1952. That is 761-1952. And you get all the information you need there. You could book an appointment. You could also order the book. Or you could go to RIK bookstores nationwide or Nelson's in Tobago or Amazon. Amazon
and
also has the book as well.
Digital copy on Gum Road for those that want digital. Gum Road.
Gum Road. Yeah. All right, Gum. I just want to forget that one. Right, on Gum Road. So make sure and check him out today. And we got.
You Are Not Sick, You Are Malnourished is the top-selling consignment book at RIK bookstores nationwide every month so far this year. Get your copy locally at RIK bookstores across Trinidad, Nelson's Bookstore in Tobago, internationally on Amazon for paperback, and on Gum Road for the digital copy.